This is the Finstra family. Mom and Dad's name are Aaron and Anissa, and these are their children. Recently, they moved from Canada to Russia. Why? Because they're a very religious family and they took issue with the left-wing ideology, the woke ideology, and they took issue with members of the LGBTQIA plus community and specifically trans people. Why? I'm guessing because they are able to live free and out loud because they live in a democracy. Well, Anissa and Aaron had issue with that. So they couldn't beat the government, so they decided to leave Canada and move to Russia. So once they made their plans known, they started talking about it on their YouTube channel. These two are YouTube vloggers, and all of their supporters, their followers was on board with them, donated to their move. They slowly started to sell things off. They sold their house. They took all of the proceeds from the donations that they got, the sale of their property, the sale of all of the things that they sold, and they transferred it to a Russian bank account. They said goodbye to their loved ones. They hopped a plane and they made their way to Russia. Now, once they started to make these plans, they did reach out to the Russian government, and Russian officials told them that they would be there to help them acclimate into Russian society. Well, apparently, whoever those Russian officials are, they forgot to tell the Finsters about the banking policies in Russia. You see, once they got into Russia, of course, Russian news media and the Russian government was there to use the Finsters for, I don't know, propaganda, use them to try to make Russia look good. This is what they said in a news conference once they arrived in Russia.
Okay. I'm Aaron Feenstra. It's my wife Anissa, our oldest Coraline, Wesley, Ariana, Waylon, Ainsley, Elias, Finley, and Madeline.
Look at the wife sitting there, big smile on her face. She has no idea what they're saying.
Well, Canada's not the same country it used to be, and we didn't feel safe for our children there in the future anymore. There's a lot of left-wing ideology, LGBTQ, trans, just a lot of things that we don't agree with that they teach there now, and we wanted to get away from that for our children. Also, for economic reasons, for farming, better opportunities, we felt Russia was best. Russia also has the strength to stand up against Western pressures.
Yes, he speaks highly of Russian officials and the Russian government, but yet they didn't tell him about the stipulations as far as transferring large sums of money to bank accounts in Russia. Because once they got acclimated and tried to start their new lives in Russia, they learned that their accounts had been frozen. That's right. All of their money was in their new bank account, which they could not access. Why? Because the bank had flagged the transaction as suspicious. Now, immediately, what would the Finsters do if life had thrown them a curveball? Being that they're YouTube bloggers, they would cue up the camera, they would connect to the internet, they would log into their channel, and they would hit the record button to criticize and to express their frustrations. That was when they were living in a democracy. But now they're living under dictatorship. But that's exactly what they did. They queued up the camera, they hit the record button, they talked about their frustrations because, of course, being vloggers, they're going to vlog about their time since they've landed in Russia, right? They're criticizing the bank. They're talking about the language barrier. They're not happy. They're frustrated. And one, I think it was Mr. Finster, who basically said, well, yeah, it would be suspicious, this large sum of money, when all of the Russians are dirt poor. Now, of course, that would have been accepted in a democracy, right? You probably would have had a bank representative reach out directly to you to try and help you with the issue. Not the case in Russia, which is why he came back with this video.
A couple things I wanted to discuss. One, I want to apologize to the Russian people for not always being understandable. I know I speak very quickly, and it's hard for people to understand. So I'm trying to speak slower, but I am used to speaking very, very fast. So I'm going to try to speak slower and get my point across. The other thing that I wanted to apologize for is not if the thoughts don't get conveyed properly. And when we started this channel, it was basically for a handful of people. Well, it was for my mother-in-law and my brother-in-law. Or my brother, sorry, and my mother-in-law. And we always put on everything that we saw and just laid it out. And these people know us. They know our thinking. They know who we are. They know that when we say certain things, they understand it for what it actually is. And we just grew the channel that way. When we moved here to Russia, we had maybe a little over 10,000 subscribers. Okay, and although some videos did really, really well, I'd say on average we maybe had 500 or 600 views on a video. And most of those people think like us and come from a similar background to us. You know, they're neighbors or friends, and not very often were we misunderstood. They just know what we're thinking. And so when we say things in the moment, they kind of take it for what it is.
Now, how many of you want to bet that that video came as a result of government officials reaching out to Mr. Finster? To top it all off, the Russians down in his comment section was telling him that he probably would never gain access to the funds in that account. Yeah. I love this for them. I'm sorry for the children because their parents are hateful, racist bigots. I'm sorry for the children, but I love this for the parents. Enjoy Russia.